Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday night live stream. This is like 2 weeks in a row now, so uh, it's been a while since I did this many live streams in quick succession, but we're back, and today we are going to be kitbashing some Homebrew Space Marines, as the title suggested. So, big hello to everyone who is in the chat already. We have quite a few people on YouTube, we've got a couple of people on Twitch as well, so hello to you all, and hopefully, if you watched the stream last week, it was kind of a little bit of an experimental thing last week was, so we didn't really create anything in the end. So hopefully by the end of this 2 hours, we'll have something a little bit more finished, basically. So yeah, it's homebrew. As you know, if you like watching these videos on this channel, then I enjoy making homebrew chapters, so we're going to be making another one. And what I've done is I've actually prepared some stuff earlier, just so you don't have to watch me scraping away mold lines. So I've got myself some heavy intercessor bits here, and this is going to be the basis of our homebrew chapter. And basically what I wanted to do was to create something that was kind of World War One trench inspired, something which had this kind of almost like a diesel punk kind of aspect to it, a little bit steampunk, a little bit diesel punk, that kind of thing. I need to make sure I'm actually getting everything centralized here. And yeah, we're going to be trying to use these pieces and a few other components that I've got from third-party kits and from my bits box, and we're going to be working on that today. So as always, feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you have anything you wish to use this opportunity to question me about. We used to do a thing where if you had a question, just kind of prefix your comment with question, and then it just means that when I'm looking through the actual the chat, I can see exactly where the questions are. Makes it easier because I'm not like reading a comment thinking it's a question. It's just somebody responding to someone else. So so the first thing we're going to be doing is, of course, everyone knows if you watch my channel, I hate Aquilas. Hopefully the autofocus is working quite nicely today. Yeah, seems to be. Let's bring this in a little bit, just so I'm not having to hold the camera so high up. There we go. Perfect. So this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to be removing this, and this is just going to give some nice space to be adding some extra bits to, and it also gives me an opportunity to actually talk about a little bit more of the style that I'm going to be going for here. So we also already have a question. Thank you very much. So will you do any Middle-earth strategy battle game kitbash videos? It's always been something which I've been interested in doing, but the thing is about the Middle-earth stuff, because you have such kind of a fixed lore, there isn't as much freedom to do whatever you want to do. If you're doing stuff based on... I mean, I've seen people who have done kitbashes. It's not entirely impossible. There is always the opportunity to do kit bashes there. There's obviously factions and armies and things from the films and the books that have miniatures, and that's always a good aspect to kind of focus on, but it's never really been on the high priority for me, personally. Question, thought about doing a cheapened Varangard. They're extremely overpriced. Yeah, this is the thing about the Varangard. They're nice models though, and I think one of the things I didn't realize until quite recently is just how big they are. I mean, they're massive. But I suppose you could do some. There's always options to kit bash, and the trouble is kit bashing often ends up being a more expensive option. But sometimes, every now and again, it is cheaper to kit bash. So maybe that's another option for a future video. I would like to do some more chaos conversions once I finish my 2,000 point Sylvaneth. I would like to do another army because I've just had so much fun building it so far. I'd like to do something maybe around one of the other Chaos Gods, but maybe in a similar vein to what I've done this time around, where I've taken an Order army and then made them Chaos but in appearance but not in rules. So maybe that might actually work in the future at some point, maybe converting some sort of Vanguard from some of the models. Question, have you ever painted and kit bashed Star Wars Legion? I have painted Star Wars Legion. I haven't kit bashed any though, because again, there is probably a lot of options there for me to recreate stuff, but I find that I like to have the creativity to do stuff myself and not have to be as restricted to making sure things fitted with the lore, things like that. Do you have a name for the steampunk army? And if not, how about Knights of the Cog? So one, I don't have a name for them, but the main kind of aspect that I want to go for is that I want them to be very much kind of heavily inspired by this kind of trench fighting, but not in the same way that the Deathcore of Krieg are. These guys are more specialized in fighting in trenches, so they use a lot of heavy intercessors to kind of get through these kind of areas where there isn't maybe as much cover available to them, so they have to kind of bring it themselves. But they also use a lot of heavy weaponry as well. So the steampunk kind of thing isn't the main focus. It's more of the battlefield tactics. So maybe something like Fusiliers as I don't know, like one of those typical kind of Space Marine names where you have, I don't know, the two double-barreled names. I'm sure you guys can come up with an idea anyway. We can work on it. We've got 2 hours to get this guy done, so we can be working on it as we're doing that. So I should probably explain what I'm doing here, just so you can actually glean some information from what I'm doing. Removing the Aquila, same kind of principle as all my other videos. I shave away as much as I can with the knife, just in small amounts, just so I've got a lot more control of where the blade is going. And then once I've done that, I just kind of use a scraping motion just to smooth everything out and create a really nice smooth surface. It's actually surprisingly easy to do once you've done a few of them. It becomes like second nature, because why would you want the space taken up with detail when you can add your own detail? It's so much better. Anyway, we have another question I saw. Did you see the $240 Primus figure Games Workshop is selling from Band? I did see that, the Gravis Captain. Is it the Gravis Captain? Well, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty pricey. I mean, I thought that regular Warhammer was already quite expensive, but I guess they found another way. The thing is, they did the Space Marine that I actually picked up, and then they released the Bandai versions, which were like a lot cheaper and were pretty much the same, maybe a little bit smaller, but oh well, it's one of them. We have another question. I'm working on my homebrew chapter. In your opinion, what are some good minis I could use for a base model for the chapter master? It really depends on what it is you're going for, because that can massively influence what you're going for, what the final model is. You should think about what your theme of the chapter is and then move from there, because there's so many options. A lot of the character models for the different chapters are really good. You can modify some, like I did a White Scars for the Nephilim. I changed the White Scars character into like a Blood Angel successor. So there's lots of really cool character miniatures you can use for Space Marines. It also depends on what kind of armor you want to give them. So there's a lot of options there. I've got many questions. How do you avoid cutting your fingers when removing the fine detail out of the Aquila you're doing right now? So the thing is, and I mean, anyone who has worked in kitchens or like chefs or anything like that, they'll know that if you use sharp knives, you're actually going to be less likely to cut yourself, because the idea is that when you're using a sharp knife, you don't have to apply as much pressure. And the less pressure you apply, the more control you have. And then even if you do feel like I lose control because I wasn't really pressing on to make the cut, I've got full control over the blade. I also, the way you hold the blade as well helps. Like you can see that I often hold my fingers quite close to the blade as I'm using it. And that just gives me a lot more control than if I'm holding it down here. Like this is not very controlled, but if you kind of holding your thumbs right up against the blade, it gives you a lot more control. Also, just practice. I mean, I have cut myself. You can see, I can possibly see a scar there. It's probably about 15 years old now. So yeah, I've made quite a lot of cuts over my fingers in the past, and you just learn techniques. And I found that using scalpels and just swapping out the blades regularly just helps. So they're like Krieg Astartes. They're not. They're kind of in the same way that they occupy trenches, yeah. But their tactics are very different. Whereas the Krieg are more about kind of sending dealing with attrition and going through mass battles. These guys are very much kind of elite. They punch through. They're kind of like, maybe if the Krieg are holding the line, then these guys are being brought in to punch the holes into the enemy's line. These are kind of like the shock troops, basically. I think someone said, Josh Morton, are you going to model on the French trench fighters or the British the British, as you'll see very shortly. There will be some British influences coming in here very soon. Question, have any ideas how to make a Tzeentch demon prints? Any bits that would fit? There's lots of bits for Tzeentch, because there is just, you can just pretty much go crazy when it comes to Tzeentch. There's no real limit on what you can do there. You have lots of options available to you. Sorry if that's a bit vague, but yeah, it's kind of, there's obviously Chaos Spawn as a good kit, because you want to have something which is like really, let me just grab a toothbrush so I can brush this off. So if you're doing things like Chaos Spawn, that gives you options for really kind of mutated kind of appearances, good for arms, things like that. A lot of Tzeentch demons are pretty good. Radikar the Beast from Soulblight, Age of Sigmar is really good. Yeah, lots of options. Really depends on what kind of aspect you want to go for. If your chapter on mobile, Ben Ives, I'm always hesitant to read his comments out loud. Maybe I'll read it first. If your chapter on mobile Thunderhawk landing platforms, Tor Garridon is your man. Yeah, basically. Tor Garridon is just immense. Anything that you want to do with Gravis, is just everyone uses him. I'm just going to grab my drink, bear with me. Pete the Wargamer, Urban Blom said, the battlefield role for your heavy guys make me think of World War II Soviet assault sappers, armor and plenty of firepower. Yeah, those guys had that kind of plate armor and the kind of like the segmented armor as well. And that is kind of what I'm going for here. I'm going for something which is basically inspired by the improvised armor that they had in World War One. They basically had these guys who were designed to go into the enemy trenches and do as much damage as possible, and that's kind of what these guys are for. Daniel Dodd joined late. What were we making today? We're making a kind of World War One trench themed Space Marine chapter using the heavy intercessors. So we've got the torso ready. Now, as other people have already said, look at this. I actually had some pre-cut card. This is just plasticard. All I've done is just cut out a small length here. I think this is like quite a thin one. It's maybe like 0.2 millimeters. I think I actually have a pin vise here, which is a millimeter, so we can see it is 1 millimeter, not 0.2 millimeters. 1 millimeter thick, I believe. Double check that actually. Actually, say it's maybe slightly. It's like 0.5 millimeters. And I kind of just got this down, and we're going to be adding this to the collar here. We want to add a little bit more armor there. So I'm going to wrap this around. This is actually quite pliable at this thickness, so you can work with it really easily. Let's just bring in the back of the torso just to make sure that we're not getting in the way of anything. So I think if we go to about here, then we're not really interfering. The space, the shoulder pad there will probably cover things up quite nicely. So if we wrap this around, it should glue quite nicely, and it just helps to bulk up the face a little bit. So yeah, that's an option we can go for next. So the other thing that I want to do is add some of the bonding studs, so which is what I've done in a video before. I have my little steel ball bearings here. So I'm thinking of maybe adding some around the bottom edge here. I can probably get 1, 2, 3, 4 in there. Probably not one in the center. Just to kind of give this idea that these guys have been reinforced. They've kind of gone about their own. What should we do first? I'm gonna drill the holes first, mainly because that's always harder to do. So let's just grab my. I hope I still have my ruler here. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So if you saw my video, then you already know that this is actually much easier to pre-mark. Look at this pencil. Look how extra this pencil is. Big crown on there. I think I got this from Windsor Castle. There we go. So we're going to pre-mark some of the holes here. So I'm going to measure out just to make sure that I'm getting roughly equidistant between the two. So I'm just going to place that 0.5 mil in the center, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 along. Make a mark. 1, 2, 3 along. Make a mark. So it gives us roughly equidistance between them. And then I'm going to probably go off probably one either side of here just to make still on camera. Yeah, it's probably really hard to see, but there is little marks on here. Okay, so I think those are about even. Yeah, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we can fill in the gaps and pretend it didn't happen. Let's see where the questions. With the Imperium magazine bringing us a cheap Guilliman, I'm strongly considering getting Abaddon and kitbashing a Lorgar. What would you do? I don't really know, actually. I think you could probably do some really nice stuff with that. I mean, I haven't seen anyone. I've seen some really nice conversions with Guilliman. Yeah, that might be a good option, actually. I'm not sure how I would approach it, but yeah, that might work quite nicely. So, as before, I'm just going to be drilling a very kind of shallow hole here. We just kind of almost want like a little bit of a divot. We don't want an actual full hole. I'm going to do these pilot holes first, and then we can just deepen it a little bit more afterwards. Okay. So anything here which I probably should have checked first was whether or not the bolt rifle can actually be attached once I've added these extra bits. It should do. They're not protruding too much. So I actually have made a little bit of a mistake there. You can see how one's slightly higher than the other. So this is the thing. This is why we need to not drill them too deep. Okay, that should fix that. That's fine. That's fine. We can say it's battle damage. I mean, most of this will probably be covered by the gun anyway, so we're not worried too much about getting this perfect. Okay, let's deepen these out a little bit and have a quick look at the questions. In your opinion, what would the aesthetic of Slaanesh Orcs and Aurochs be? I guess it's a difficult one, really, but if you have a look at these Slangors, I think they are the ones that were released as part of the Slaanesh tome recently. They're kind of like beastmen, but then like Slaaneshi beastmen. So I think that's probably a good option, that kind of style. But yeah, it's quite difficult. The only orcs that I've seen like official capacity that were chaosy were those who, I think they were like Nurgle orcs, and that was like around about the kind of one of the Eye of Terror campaigns. A while ago now. Okay, so I think those should be deep enough for these. Let's just widen out that hole a little bit more. Just make sure. Okay, so the trick is with these is to get a length of wire. And grab some of these out. Didn't mean to get that many out, but oh well. You live and you learn. We're going to need 4. Goes back in the bowl. So, length of wire, super glue. What happened to the Death Guard Demon Prince? Or was that someone else that I'm watching? I did consider doing a Death Guard Demon Prince. Basically, I had my Death Guard army, and I was looking to continue it, but I kind of just got bored of it. And I'm not sure why it was, and I'm not 100% sure why at the time, but I think having built the Sylvaneth army and feeling really kind of motivated to carry on with it, I think a big part of that is just because I didn't do enough kitbashing with those Death Guard. They weren't different enough to keep me interested. So, yeah, maybe I'll come back to doing that in the future, but I think I wasn't working on it, but it was the plan to do something in the future. Just never got around to it. Okay. And, I need to just put some glue in that hole first. I feel like I've made more progress this week than we did in the whole of the 2 hours that we had the stream going for last week. We've only been in this for 20 minutes so far. Oh man, I keep losing these. Oh, Jesus. Okay, there we go, perfect. Just press those in, make sure they're all in place, and there we go. As you can see, once you kind of get the hang of this technique, it's actually quite easy to do this kind of rivet work. You've kind of just got to try it out a little bit, and then once you get a head around it, and always pre-measure as well. It's always good to do pre-measuring just in case you mess up with the order. I did it before when I was testing out the rivets on the legs. I actually made a bit of a mess up because it just didn't work. Mr. Arbiter 103, thank you very much. Just caught the stream. What are you building? Also, are you going to do a video on the Tau Marines that you live streamed a while ago? At the moment, I am building some of the, and anyone else has joined, I'm building some Homebrew Space Marines, and these are basically kind of like a trench fighting Space Marine chapter. So their armor is going to be a lot heavier. These are heavy intercessors, so we're going to get even heavier than that. And I'm going to be adding in some kind of British army inspired stuff in there, so thank you very much. Also the Space Marine, you mean this guy here that's been sat on my desk reminding me to do an actual full video on these guys and paint them up and everything. Maybe soon. I am enjoying doing kill teams at the moment, so maybe we can see those guys in a kill team in the future. We'll see, fingers crossed. Okay, where's that plastic card? So I mean, we could kind of go for a bit more on some of the legs and things, but I think this is okay. I think we're okay for the time being. We'll just concentrate on the torso. We can build the legs up afterwards. So here's this kind of extra collar here. So there's two edges here. It's not a perfect edge when I cut it. I kind of just did it freehanded and just to see if it would work, and it actually came out better than I thought. So we're going to start here. I think we're going to wrap this around, and then we're going to finish over here. So we need to kind of get a rough idea of how much we need. We're going to clip this off just a little bit. This is a little bit longer than I want, because we can always trim it back if it is too long. If we don't make it long enough, we're kind of stuck. And then we're going to bend it around here. Just make sure. Yeah, you can see it's quite a little bit too long, but that's fine. Just get this bent around so it's not trying to snap back as much. Let's have a look at some questions. Just for anyone who has joined the stream from when I started it, if you want to ask me a question, then just kind of preface the question with the word question. It just means that when I'm looking through the comments, I can more easily see what is a question. For example, question, I'm getting a Dominion box for my birthday. Any tips on making the Stormcast more interesting? They're cool but feel kind of generic. Yes, I will have, I will suggest watching the video, look at that cross promotion, on how I did this guy, because the new Vindictors just look really nice, but you just need to do a little bit of extra work, like a little bit of green stuff work on the shield, a little bit of damage on the actual armor, and then this little kind of tilt shield kind of thing that I've got on the top, on the shoulder, and just give them a darker paint scheme. They look really nice. I showed it off my last stream as well. This is another one that I was working on. So I actually used a Sisters of Battle head, and I just used some green stuff to kind of make more of a cloth tabard there. So there's lots of different options you can do with it. Okay. I'm in two minds now. So I can. The thing is with plasticard is you can use plastic glue on it because it is styrene, so it's the same deal, but it doesn't seem to stick as well. So I'm going to use super glue instead. I'll probably use a combination. I'll use a little bit of super glue just to kind of get the initial adhesion, and then I can always add some plastic glue just to reinforce things afterwards. Trying to get it stuck to my fingers. It's amazing how much more fiddly this becomes as soon as you put glue on it. Just because you're so paranoid about gluing your fingers to the model. Okay. Let's hold that in place for a second. Hopefully that holds. Question, how do you sculpt those smooth cloth curves? Whenever I try the green stuff, just bunches up and looks weird. The tip is to use Vaseline. Make sure you get yourself kind of some sculpting tools. They don't need to be anything fancy, just they're kind of like, I think a lot of them are just those the metal ones. And use plenty of Vaseline, because what it will do is allow you to, first of all, stops your fingers, stops your tools from sticking, and then it really allows you to kind of smooth out the curves. Okay, that's held. Kind of looks like a vicar. Don't know why. I'm not building a chapter. So let's. Oh no! Look at that. This is the trouble with using. This is what you get to see on these live streams. You get to see all the mistakes. I don't get to edit them out. Hold that. Is anyone else getting problems with the volume? Can move the microphone a bit closer if you need to. I don't want to. I've kind of put the gain down on my microphone just to make sure you're not getting picked up on anything. So let me know. Question: I'm about to pick up my very first minis / paint. Start collecting Chaos Space Marines. Any general tips for a complete noob? Wow, it's kind of difficult really, because trying to think about what it was like when you first started. First thing to do is always make sure you thin your paints when you're using them. It'll make everything a lot easier and make the model look a lot better. Also, make sure you remove mold lines, because that's one of those things where it doesn't look too bad on the actual model as you're building it, but then once you paint it, they become very, very obvious, and it kind of changes everything quite a bit. So yeah, make sure that you remove your mold lines and then thin your paints. Two simple things. It's also worth investing in the right tools for the job, so make sure you get some clippers. Don't just try and pull everything off the sprue. It's what I've done in the past, and it just makes it a little bit of a problem. You can end up damaging components, things like that. Okay, I think that's probably attached now. Let's see how it looks with the back plate on, just to see. Yeah, that actually works quite well. I don't even think I need to reduce that. What I might do though is just run the edge of the blade along here just to kind of smooth these two edges together. Especially up here, it kind of flicks out a little bit. This is the kind of thing which always looks weird when the model's being built, because it's two different materials, well, three different materials here. We've got metal and then two different plastics. And until it's painted, it doesn't always look right. It looks too different. So I think that's okay. I think it's a good starting point. We can probably, let's just smooth that out a little bit more, just to make sure that we haven't not causing ourselves any more problems later on when we attach the arms. Cool. Let's glue this torso back. One thing I actually forgot to mention in my last stream was that if you haven't already done so, make sure you join my Discord, because we always get a nice little bump up whenever I do a live stream, and just kind of let everyone know that doesn't need glue yet. I think there should be a link in the description of this video, somewhere down there. It's all. You don't need to join Patreon to be on there. There is like a little Patreon only group in there. So if you do support me on there, and you have Discord connected to Patreon, you should be able to have access to like a little super exclusive group on there. Okay. So let's look at the head. So what my idea was here was to use the original head, which seems to have escaped me at the moment. Where's that gone? Oh, there it is. So my intention was to use the original heavy intercessor head, basically the aggressor head. Is that? Oh, the spot focus is on. That's why. There we go. Perfect. To use the original head and to give it that kind of British Army vibe by combining it with that's really bright, with one of these Brody helmets from Anvil Industry. You can just about see it there. There we go. So they do actually have just a helmet on its own there, which I can just kind of pop on top, but it just looks a little bit silly when it's like right on top. But I'm basically gonna cut down the top of the head here and place this on the top so it's kind of over the eyes, which again, it's going to be a little bit tricky though, because the only problem is kind of getting that right. And at the moment, it just looks like he's wearing a hat. It looks like he's wearing like it doesn't look like a helmet. I think it will do once it's painted. I'm surprising that actually these heads fit the scale. They're actually surprisingly big. I never realized how big those heads were. These are supposed to be like human scaled heads, and that's it surprises me. They actually have some better heads than that. Bear with me 1 second. So there are another set of heads from Anvil Industries which might actually offer a better option. These ones, can you see them? They're very bright underneath the lights. So I think I'm going to be using one of these instead, actually. I was actually surprised to see how big these heads are compared to... They're surprisingly big. I think there's a couple here which don't have any exposed face as well, so I can kind of pop those on. Let's take one of these off. this is the problem. The necks are too small. I think that's too small, isn't it? This is really bright. Let me just adjust this a little bit. Change the settings. What do we think? Is there another way we can go take this head? Does that look a bit small? Maybe if I kind of move the head forward, it wouldn't look too bad. I think at the moment it just looks weird because it's so low in the neck. Yeah, the kind of the hat Space Marine just didn't look right. In my head, he looked a lot better, but then when actually compared it to the model, it just does not look right. It's like just she's singing close harmonies in a barbershop quartet. Yeah, I think if we adjust the position, it's going to look okay. Oops. So I think we're just going to need to maybe drill a hole and bring the head forward a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll work. We need, for this, some wire. Green stuff blob for the bigger neck. I could do. The only thing is, you know what? Actually, you can do a trick with some super glue. You can kind of firm up. Yeah, let's use some green stuff. I think it's gonna be easier than a wire. Ever important. Vaseline. Whenever you're working with green stuff. Okay. Let's cook a tiny amount because we only need a tiny amount. And I always end up with far too much green stuff than I actually need. Even that's too much, but... Another tip for who I apologize, I can't remember who asked, but when you're working with green stuff, another thing to consider is if you have these kind of like pre-joined pieces of green stuff, it's always worth just cutting away that centerpiece. The main reason being that when those two pieces are connected, sometimes they can already firm up, and when that happens, you end up with like lumps in your green stuff. So yeah, it kind of makes it a bit weird. But now it's 3D printer head. Yeah, I'll just kind of just stop the stream for 2 hours while I still wait for it to print. I think Puppets War has a full face mask with the pith style helmet. Yeah, they have quite a few nice heads. I actually have some of them. Somewhere, can't remember exactly where they are actually. No, I don't actually have any. There's some really nice kind of metal helmets as well from Waller Games, but the head's a little bit on the small scale, so. Incoming question. While we're on the subject of silly Space Marine ideas, what do you think was the silliest homebrew chapter you worked on? You know, I don't think I've actually worked. Everything that I've worked on has been surprisingly sensible. To be honest, I actually think that the silliest one is probably my Void Science, the ones with like all the pockets. just because of the amount of pockets I end up putting on those guys. And it was such like a divisive thing as well. Some people really love the amount of pockets, and some people are like, this isn't realistic. Why would you fill the pockets with ammunition? Because you get shot and they blow up, and your chest will blow up. And I was thinking, it's literally what soldiers do these days. They don't have an armor; they have ammunition pouches on the front of the bodies, and it's like, come on, guys. So just an update for anyone who is new to the stream. We are building a homebrew chapter, which basically uses. Let's just see if this works first. It's kind of like trench warfare experts. So if you think that one of the things I used to describe earlier was if you think that Krieg are great for like attrition and holding the line and kind of taking these heavy losses and things like that, these guys are better suited for like breakthroughs and spearheading assaults, but still within that kind of same trench atmosphere. So there's a lot of kind of heavy weapons and heavy armor being used. Okay, so I think that actually looks pretty good. If you move the head forward a little bit, you can see that it kind of stops it being lost around the collar. I think the gun is facing slightly that way as well, so let's adjust the head. What I'm going to do here though is I'm going to move that slightly back a little bit. And the only trouble with doing green stuff is that normally I could make this, press this down into the neck and leave it to cure, but the problem with doing it on a live stream is we haven't got the time. So we need to do everything quickly. So if I pop that in there like so, we're going to bring in a little bit of super glue, because basically if you put super glue on green stuff, it sort of cures it instantly where the green stuff falls. So if you want to glue a piece of green stuff, then the contact points will dry straight away. I don't know if it does actually dry or whether it just kind of dries that one section or just solidifies it or something, but if you need it in a pinch, it's quite a good little trick to use, but otherwise wait for the green stuff to cure. Okay, so let's just check this fit once again. Okay, I think that works okay. So, get a bit of super glue. I'm going to pop a little bit in that neck joint there, like so. Then, there we go. Just leave that to a little bit, just give it a chance to firm up a little bit more. So look at that, 43 minutes into the stream, and I feel like we've done so much more than we did. I think the last stream that we did, we made the guy, I forgot his name, everyone told me his name, we made the Rancor handler from Star Wars out of a guardsman, and then what else did I do? I did something else at the same time. Put a sash on him. It just didn't work. I don't know what it is. Everything I tried last week just didn't work at all. So I'm glad we're actually getting somewhere this week. I feel positive. Cool. So whilst I leave that to dry, there's still a few more things I want to do with that. Let's look at the power pack. Now, what I had an idea for this was, I mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to go for a sort of diesel punk kind of style. And I think the easiest way to do that with this kind of equipment, because the primer stuff is all really nice and smooth and really nice and well formed. There isn't really anything like, there's not really many exposed cables and vents and things like that, but there is one kit which is a fantastic kit. I actually hope I've bought the right bits box here. Let's double check. Fingers crossed I have. Got so many bits boxes. Is the anticipation killing everyone? What kit is Pete gonna bring out? Let's see if we can guess. In the few seconds you've got until I find the actual sprue that I want. Actually can't find the sprue. I know it's in this box because all the other sprues are in here. Where is it? It's got to be in here. I was bragging earlier about having everything prepped as well. Spoke too soon. Spoke too soon. I mean, everyone thought of Lego when the bits box was around. Yeah, it's very similar to that. Honestly, I actually thought the sprue wasn't it. Every other, there's like 3 sprues that make up this kit. It's another clue for you. And I actually can't find the one sprue that has the components on it that I need. And this is all super interesting, super visually interesting right now. Where is it? Found it. We got it. Has anyone said it yet? Josh Morton, you were correct. We have the Mark III Space Marine kit. A beautiful kit. One of my favorites. So yeah, basically as I was saying, I wanted something which is more like a kind of a diesel punk style to it. And these are perfect. These little pieces here. With the kind of top of the vents in there. So I've got to kind of think of a way of getting this married to this here. It's not going to be super tacked on. And I'm thinking actually of kind of reversing the position here, cutting off these vent halves and then placing this down here. It's just going to give it a little bit more of like a haphazard appearance. So there's actually these grills and there's these vents here. I think I'm going to go for... Let's go for these ones. I like the idea of the little fans. Okay. Let's shave this down a little bit. Those vents are Shrek ears. Yeah, they basically are. Pretty much the exact. If I was ever doing like an Iron Warriors kind of Shrek character, then that's like a perfect one. So you can see this actually works quite well. If you just do a little bit of trimming and adjusting so this fits a little bit more squarely on, it kind of just adds a little bit more of a haphazard aspect to it. But what does he win? He wins the satisfaction of knowing that he picked one of my favorite kits when no one else did. So yeah, God Convoy. I find it far more unrealistic that super heavy armored space marines would have a prolonged fight with one magazine. I usually have 6 to 8. This is precisely the point that I was trying to make. The thing is, I kind of thought, okay, this guy's going to go into a battle. He's going to go into it with the biggest magazine that he can carry on his weapon initially, and then once that's gone, he's going to want to have plenty of smaller magazines around that he can just kind of stick into the gun. And one Space Marine, I know they're supposed to have like bolter discipline and everything, and they're kind of supposed to be really like fastidious about how many bullets they use, but whenever you see like artwork or animations, these guys just unload with their weapons every single chance they get to it. So yeah, Space Marines need more pouches. Okay, we're going to clip off the Shrek ears, which is what I'm going to be calling them from now on, because that's all I can see them as now. So thank you very much, everyone. Click those away, and we're going to just shave this down a little bit as well. Okay. Clean to the side. So, the only thing we need to do here is maybe just adjust, either adjust this bit here or this bit here. I think it's probably going to be easier and safer to adjust this bit, just because if I mess it up, I've got a few more of these. I haven't got many of those. The Astartes mag dump is a tried and true tactic. It really is. I think I remember there being some sort of, I can't remember if it was part of a story. Someone else might be able to elaborate on it, but there's kind of like part of where a Space Marine was like a heavy bolter devastator or something, and he kind of fired off a few extra shots after the enemy had quite clearly been killed, and he got like reprimanded for like firing five rounds more than he should have done, and he had to like do some sort of penance. And I was just like, really? Okay. And you've got this massive planet-wide factories just pouring out arms and ammunition, and then this guy gets reprimanded for firing too many rounds. Jen Island. Thank you for your hours of fun. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your super chat. I much appreciate it, and you're very much welcome, because I have had a lot of fun providing the hours of fun. Because at the end of the day, that's why I do this, because if it was a job, I mean, this isn't my job. I know a lot of people who do YouTube at this kind of, who reach like 100,000 and kind of quit, and then they just do this as their main job. But I mean, I still do like a normal 9 till 5:30 Monday to Friday job as well. So the time that I put into this is basically my free time, and if I didn't enjoy doing it, then I wouldn't do it. So yeah, thank you for everyone else for actually making it continued to be fun as well. Is this Ben Ives actually got a non-silly comment for once? Would you recommend sculpting a chain? I mean, I'm going to read it first just in case. No, he's actually a genuine question. Would you recommend sculpting a chain and pendant for the new weird-looking Emperor's Champion, or buying a super fine chain? I personally would buy chain rather than sculpting it, simply because on such like a dynamic model like that, you need to have really nice, smooth, flowing chains, and sometimes it's really hard to sculpt that onto a model. But if you use fine chain, you can kind of super glue it, and you can kind of hang it in certain ways, and it's just easier to work with. That's what I'd say. So this needs to be quite a lot more reduced. I'm thinking maybe I do need to cut into this bit just a little bit. It's not really ideal, but that's fine, because it's going to be covered up anyway. Actually made it much easier straight away. Question: do you plan on painting this guy on stream as well, or no? I probably won't paint him today, just because, I mean, what is it now? 8 o'clock? I'm only planning on streaming until about 9. So I won't get a chance to finish him off and then paint him up. I will need to, maybe we'll do it, if people want to see it, then maybe I'll do it in the future. I'll do another stream where I paint him up. Okay, I think that's getting there now. It's starting to get there now. Sarge Scion Conflict, thank you very much. Will you be doing another subscriber chapter series? So this is something that I've actually been thinking about, because I think I did a bit of a fib actually. I promised some people that I would do another homebrew chapter competition, and I never actually got around to it because I think at the time I was just basically ended up being like super busy and didn't get around to actually doing it when I wanted to. But yeah, maybe I will do one in the near future. I'm going to get this army done. The main focus is getting my Sylvaneth army completed for the tournament. But yeah, maybe after that we'll do a competition. Wolf Parable over on Twitch. I think he's Leon Belmont as well. Thank you very much. You know, this I actually don't. I've been just sitting on here trying to. It's quite difficult to keep an eye on. Wolf Powell, thank you very much for gifting the sub. I do appreciate that. Much appreciated. See, that didn't actually pop up on here. That's a little bit annoying. But yeah, if you don't already know, I am streaming this on Twitch as well. So if you prefer to use Twitch and you want to give me a follow over there, then you can do. Let's drop the stream URL into the chat. I know some people prefer Twitch. Oh god, I don't know how to use Twitch at all. Terrible at it. Where are we? Okay, back to Twitch. Can I share it? Okay, here we go. We've got 7 people viewing on Twitch. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's put this into the YouTube chat. There you go. So if you haven't already, then be sure to... Oh, wow, what's going on with the chat? It's going a bit crazy at the moment. There we go. If you haven't done so already, then make sure you check me out on Twitch if you use my Twitch. But yeah. Okay, let's think about actually getting this attached now. Cool. Okay, it kind of gives it a little bit more of a bulky appearance. It's not really much of... Like, maybe if I was doing this as like a full conversion, I would possibly do something about the bottom here, maybe even sculpt that out, use that part of the power pack just to kind of smooth it out a little bit, but I think it's fine for this. It's kind of a good little proof of concept. I think slowly, we've got, how many people have we got on YouTube at the moment? So we've got 290 concurrent viewers on YouTube, 288 just gone down, and then we have 7. We have 7 on Twitch. You've got a little bit of a way to go. Yeah, Wolf Parable, we'll get you there hopefully. It's the thing, I don't really use Twitch, so it's kind of like difficult to know exactly what best practices there are to kind of getting views up and things like that. Obviously YouTube's quite easy because I already have the existing subscribers and things like that, so yeah, I'll keep plugging away at it. If you make the live streams, they will come. There we go. Starting to get somewhere now. Let's get back to the chat. It says 23 here. Wow, so that's jumped up. What's going on? Okay, it's just gone up to 24. So yeah, a little bit more. A little bit more. We've got a few people switching sides. Okay, let's go back to the chat so I can see everyone's comments. you want to grow your Twitch, plug it on your YouTube videos, and have a consistent streaming schedule. I think that's the thing, actually. The problem is, I think a lot of people who use Twitch probably use it a lot more than I do, because I use the streams more as like a once a week thing, and I mean, only for the last 2 weeks I've actually been doing this. But when I was actually streaming a lot more, it was like a once a week thing, because obviously I need to make the videos, and but yeah, I'm going to keep using it, so I'll keep sending people that way. A lot of people don't realize I'm on Twitch sometimes as well, so that's fine. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, go and jump over there, give me a follow, and then you can just watch me on there as well. I don't mind where you watch me, as long as you watch me. That's the only thing I'll care about. Let's think about the next step. So what time? We've got like a whole hour. So we've got the gun here. I don't intend to do too much there. I'm actually thinking let's add a bayonet. Let's see what knives we've got available in the bits box. Okay, let's put this over here. So this is my super organized Space Marine bits box. This isn't all my Space Marine bits. These are just the ones that I've so far gotten around to organizing. There's actually like a fishing tackle box. You can see that they're actually really useful for this kind of thing, because what you can do is you can have different sections. So I've got everything kind of. So these are all Space Marine bits and primers, to be precise. I do think I have a few non-primers components. So I've got all my kind of bear heads in there. I've got helmeted heads, so this aggressor head, I'm not using that, so I can go in there. Shoulder pads. Let's move this along so we can see it. We've got pouches, backpacks. I think these are Space Marine arms. Oh, there's two sets of arms here. What's going on? Okay, I think these are like single arms, so like the ones with just like one arm holding it, and these are like the paired arms over here. We've got some Dark Angels bits down in this corner here that you can't see. I can't really kind of get this. It's a little bit bulky. Dark Angel components, robes and capes, a couple of Space Marines. So yeah, it's kind of how I like to organize everything. So most of the stuff that I use is still on the sprue, but if I find that I only have a few components left on a sprue, then I just clip them off and dump them in here, and it just means if I want something, I can check in here. Ironically though, I actually came in here to look for knives, and I don't actually have any. I have a load of blade guard weapons there, but no actual individual knives, so I think I'm just going to have to go straight to the sprue for that. Let's close this up and go. So I'm thinking, blade-wise, we need something a little bit smaller than a Reaver blade. So we might need to look into. I don't think I have them here. Bear with me 1 second. Either. This is also another one of my bits box. So these are basically the same, but these are the things for which I don't have as much of a and as many of, so I basically have each thing in an individual box. So I've got some kind of like Warriors of Chaos stuff in there, orc bits, lovely, and I think I might have some knives that I can use in this here. So this is my Grey Knight Slashing Casters box, which I think ended up with some random Horus Heresy stuff in here as well, so there might be some knives that I can use. So this might work, so let's grab that. So I'd always highly recommend organizing your bits boxes if you can, just because if you know you have a component and everything's just mixed up in one box, then it just makes it so much harder to actually find it. So try and organize them as best you can. If you've got something like I have loads of Space Marine bits, you can get those kind of boxes and move them out, but otherwise just these little useful boxes are quite good. Let's grab a chainsaw just in case. Pop that way. Okay. Whew. So we're on 25 viewers on Twitch at the moment. Steadily going up. Steadily going up. Chainsaw bayonet. Yeah, I think we can steal some ideas from Gears of War. I mean, at the end of the day, Gears of War pretty much stole the whole idea from... Is that too big? Is that too much? Just attach that whole thing to it. You know, I'm actually thinking it looks okay, because the handle is there. I trim that bit off there. I'm very tempted. What do we think, Hive Mind? Wolf Parable, Mineral and Cardboard boxes. Yeah, mine used to be as well. And I used to put them in the old the Battle Force boxes it used to get. And what I'd find is they're kind of like carved little flaps at either side of the box, and all the bits would get stuck underneath the flaps, and then I'd be looking for like one particular component, and then it was just hidden under here. So that's why I switched to just the plastic boxes in the end. Maybe shorten the blade. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like, the only trouble is, what I might have to do is kind of take... I'd like the idea of keeping the actual motor in place, but then keeping this bit here as well, maybe. So I'd maybe have to cut there, squash them together. I think the shorter blade is probably the better option. I mean, the actual knife doesn't look quite as good. It looks okay, but... Yeah, we want a chainsaw blade, don't we? Might have to cut it diagonally and shorten it. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm going to go for here. So I've already prepped this gun, so you can see that I've already drilled the hole. So that we need to get this prepped. So let's remove this first. Okay, so I'm thinking if we cut basically along this line here, and then I'm making sure I'm in shot here, and then along here, then we can possibly join them. But the problem is we're going to have to make sure these teeth line up. So let's make a... I've got loads of these anyway, so if I mess up I can always do it again. Okay. Then if we make this cut, actually we can probably don't need to go all the way down. Let's see how this looks. Let's cut this bit away first. So if we attach that bit there, and then attach... Yeah, I think we need to kind of do it right here, just so... Yeah, let's go for it. We can smooth these out, but yeah, I think that looks quite well the other way around. There you go. We've got a little dinky chainsaw now. That's actually a really nice fit, actually. I don't think I need to adjust that. That's actually worked out perfectly. Oh no, it hasn't. It's slightly off. Let's adjust it. let's see what the comment section's saying. This is the thing, whenever I get really into doing this kind of thing, I always remember that I'm actually doing a live stream. I'm supposed to be talking to people. So let's see. Question, Eric Martin. What do you recommend for tubing? Like a coolant hose curving around something. I actually have something to hand. Guitar wire, like cheap guitar wire. Well, guitar string. You get it in different gauges, and it has like it's actually really easy to work with. I've used it on a couple of conversions, but yeah, it's pretty cheap and works really well. I think someone else actually said it as well. Who said it? It just, yeah, it looks really good. And if you walk into a guitar shop, then yeah, you can buy it pretty cheap as well. You don't need like the most expensive strings out there because you just kind of use them for tubes, so it's fine. Let's just clean this end up as well. I think the width of the chainsaw is what throwing it off. Maybe Penitent Eviscerate would make it seem small in comparison to the gun. I actually think I have any to hand. No, I don't actually. I've got Arcoflagellants, that's what I've got. I did actually want to pick up that kit, but maybe that's an option if I did this as like more of an established, like an actual video, proper video for it. Okay, that's working. It's working nicely now. We just clean this up, and this can be attached to the bottom. So no, this is more like a prototype kind of thing, but it's always nice to do an extra little bit of time to just make sure everything looks nice. Okay, so the only thing we need to make to the modification to here is just remove this little kind of clip here, this little metal hook. Nice quick cutaway, and then smooth that flat, like so. So, let's glue these together. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure we can actually attach this. Yeah, let's just give that a slight smoothing. It's got a little bit of a taper in there. What would be the most heretical conversion? Corrupted Grey Knights, Purple Orcs. Yeah, I think Grey Knights being corrupted, I think, probably would be. What was one of the things that I did? I think I ended up using. I was kitbashing some Chaos Space Marines, and I used some non-chaos parts for it, which is quite funny. Which is always good because there's a lot of options for chaos stuff, and you can even use like non-chaos. So I think have I used it the other way around? I think I might have used chaos bits on non-chaos models before. It's not perfectly fit. You can see how it's slightly off there. It's kind of leaning this way slightly. So make sure we get this the right way around. There we go. Wonderful. Cool. That's the gun done. Easy peasy. So yeah, we've kind of got a good start so far. There are a few things that I've got in mind to add next, but I actually think we're making really nice progress on this model. An hour and 15 minutes. I actually think I will get this done in this video. Probably still have time left, but So we can slow down. Let's see if we've got any questions. Eric Martin, any other common items I can start collecting? I just started printing and sculpting, and the bits box hungers for more. So one of the things I always recommend is the Citadel. It really depends on what you are kit bashing, converting, things like that. The Citadel Skulls is always a good option because you can use that for pretty much anything. 40k, age thing, or anything you want. The other stuff becomes a bit more difficult. There are some kits which are really useful. I'm trying to think if you're doing Space Marine stuff, then the Mark III kits are amazing. Some of the Storm, I'm predicting that the new Stormcast Vindictus set will be good as well. I think that's going to, depending on how they set out the armor and everything for that one, it's going to be a really nice kind of style for that. I think someone asked about, hey Pete, any chance you'll be doing any more Age of Sigmar Seraphim kit bashes? Would love to see a modern Skink Priest. I haven't got anything planned. I'm not a huge fan of Seraphon. The models are, some of the models are okay, like the new Croak was quite a nice model, but yeah, it's like, I don't know, I just never really got into the Seraphon. I don't know why. It's never really appealed to me. Maybe in the future, maybe if they got like a re-release and they re-release the Saurus Warriors, things like that, maybe. What are you thinking for a colour scheme? I think Khaki Marines would work pretty nice, but that Raptor drab is also calling to me. Yeah, so I think, so my Raptors are a little bit more of like a lighter green. They're more of like a light olive, so I'd probably go for something like an olive drab. But yeah, Khaki would definitely feature in that, just to maybe some of the pouches I'm planning on adding. I'm just giving everything a chance to dry a little bit before I progress here, just because I want to attach this. I could make a start on attaching these arms. So someone mentioned putting the rivets around the collar. I think possibly it might be an option. I mean, the trouble is at the moment it looks very bland because it's white, but once it gets painted up and I've maybe added some painting to this, then that would bring out the details. So it's a little bit of a tricky one. And actually what I want to do is add some pouches around here. So I think whilst that would work quite nice with the rivets around here, it might become a little bit crowded when I start adding some of the extra details. So I'm going to forgo for now, but if I decide that it doesn't look right once I've primed it, just to see how everything looks once it's all together, then if I was to do these as like a fully fledged kit bash on a video, then maybe I could keep that in mind. Thanks for the suggestion though, appreciate it. Oh, common items like random household things. To be honest, I don't really use an awful lot of stuff. The main things that I use for, like, I suppose non-parts is all more specialist items. I use a lot of, like, florist wire. This is usually quite useful. It's like a flexible 1mm thick steel wire. That's really useful. Drill bits of varying sizes are quite useful as well. Just like really small little ones. You can usually find lots of uses for those, for like drilling battle damage or drilling holes for pipes and cables. I've used little glass beads before. They're useful. Little ball bearings like these are really nice as well. So yeah, there's lots of different options, but I think a lot of the stuff that I have is, oh yeah, Vaseline's really useful as well. I suppose that's a household item. But yeah, that kind of thing. Increase the volume. Okay, let's increase the gain a little bit here. Is that better? I actually can't hear if this is okay. Bear with me. Just going to test the audio. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. I've just increased the gain on the microphone a little bit because I'm not like shouting. I'm just kind of conversing. I'm not doing my normal voiceover voice. So, right, let's switch back to the chats and carry on. Cool. Okay, so let's get these arms in place then. I think we've given everything enough chance to dry. After all, people came here to see me kitbash, and if I'm just sat here waffling, then people aren't getting what they want. So the only trouble here is I didn't quite reduce the size of the collar down enough at the sides, so it's kind of interfering a little bit. I might be able to get away with it, though. We'll see. Yeah, we should be able to line that up nicely. Yeah, we can do it. We can work around it. Let's hold this in place. Let it fill up. Question: what helmet is that? This is one of the Brody Gladiator helmets. These are from Anvil Industry. One thing I actually haven't done is cut out some shoulder pads for this, and I'm actually thinking of going for one option. We can either go for the regular heavy intercessor shoulders, or we can choose a Mark III instead. Or they're too big. It would work nice, but I think they're a bit too big. These Tartra shoulder pads, yeah, they would work, but there's gaps in the shoulder. Shoulder pads. Yeah, let's go for Mark III. I think these will fit. We'll find out. Mark III too small. Let's find out. We can all think together. Yeah, too small. They are quite big. Yeah, this is the thing. You kind of get limited. What else have I got? I just don't want to use a stock shoulder pads. I think all these are pretty much the same as the basic ones that you get. Yeah, there's nothing really there which easily defines. Where's the sprue gun for these guys? They're a little bit more ornate, but I think this kind of extra ridge might just get in the way, actually. Maybe not. Let's go for these. It's not really feasible to do this on like a large scale, just because the Blade Guard veteran heads are shoulder pads. Sorry, a lot more harder to get hold of, but at least for this model, we can use them. Yeah, that works. Just adds a little bit of extra armor in there. Perfect. Yeah, aggressors have them as well, so we could do that. Could use those instead. Where's my knife there? trim these up a little bit. Question, I need to rejig my Heo-themed Tempestus kill team. Is there a kit or third-party mini that has a good bodysuit type affair? I've been umming and ahhing about either Aldar Kabalites or Vansar Gangers. So yeah, I think initial kind of idea would be Vansar. I think they're probably the ones if you want to go for like a Halo themed, but then still keep them as human scale. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else. Everything else I can think of is more organic looking or wouldn't really work for that kind of style. So let's go for this pad there. I think that makes most sense. There we go. Let's stick his legs on, and the actual main body then is complete. Still a few more things to do though. Don't worry, we've not done. Not done quite yet. Nearly there. Perfect. There we go. Very nearly done. Last few little bits need to be added. But it's not too kind of... I mean, we've lost a lot of the actual detail that we added underneath there. I thought we would do. But there are a few aggressor arms which would expose these, like the one that some of them reloading, the sergeants where one's like got a pointing arm. But yeah, I think there's not an awful lot of change in this model. There are a few items I want to add still now that everything's attached. We want to add some pouches. There's probably more what I could add in the future. One of the things I was actually thinking of doing before I added the chainsword was removing this rail at the top here, mainly because I wanted to make the model look a little bit more archaic and not as modern looking. And I think these kind of like attachment rails, like that, they're called weaver rails, something like that, kind of move away from that World War I aesthetic. That's the word I'm looking for. So let's have a drink and answer some questions if we've got any. I think I'm going to have to get a Vansar box anyways. The last ones are hilariously close to assault rifles. Yeah, they are very similar. They kind of have that. I mean, if they haven't been designed to look the same on purpose, then I'm really surprised if that is the case. But yeah, let's go back to the chat. Maybe wooden stock. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think if I was to do that, I'd maybe have to do it more in the painting stage, but I could possibly smooth out some of the details and make it look a little bit more wooden, basically. I think that's probably what we need to go for there. There's still a few extra bits, like I think some of the small little tilt shields would work quite well. The only thing is, I kind of had this nice idea of like almost like a night themed World War One. Could work still, maybe. Cool. It's the alarm to give my cat his medication. Um, that's an option for the future. I think I'm going to leave it for the time being, but there's always an option to add that in. We can leave it for now. Let's focus on the pouches. Now, there are obviously always the normal areas to look at. We have, do I have any left on the sprue? I don't think so. The Incursor pouches, they're always good options, but I wanted to use some pouches from another source as well. Niels Bayer, thank you very much. Love your stuff, man. Any chance for some orcs? Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping to do some once we see the full release for the orcs. Especially like the new orc boys, things like that. I'd like to do some more of a how I've done like different chapters and different regiments, things like that. I would like to do some clan specific orcs. That would be nice in the future. So yeah, maybe soon. What's your opinion on Kitbash kill teams that are now illegal to use in the new kill team? So the thing is with me is that I probably was never going to play the game in the first place. So I mean, I've had a few comments since the new kill team rules, and obviously I had the compendium for about 2 weeks before it went public. So I already knew straight away that my Raptors kill team was no longer used. But the thing is, I enjoy the models, and I don't really mind if they're not usable in the game because I just enjoyed building them, and it doesn't really matter because what I'd probably do is if I did actually want to use them in a game, I would just build a squad of scouts using the same Raptors setup that I used before. And the thing is, based on the actual the hardened veterans for the Imperial Guard and the Commandos, I'm guessing we're going to be seeing more specialized kill teams coming out in the future for each of the factions. So there's always options in the future, but yeah, I would like to do a heavy intercessor kill team based on my Void Scions, so I can actually make them into a fully fledged kill team. I think is it 3 heavy intercessors for a kill team? I can't remember. But yeah, there is a few options there. So I don't mind. I like building the models anyway, even if I have no intention of using them in a game, so I don't mind. I definitely cut the rails. They're too modern looking even on normal Marines. I think so. I think they work well for my Raptors, which kind of have that tactical appearance, but yeah, I think so. Well, the kind of gun he has may be better to look like a Lewis gun than a wooden gun. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to have that kind of drum, that kind of horizontal mounted drum magazine would be pretty cool on the top. Don't know where it would go though, because the thing is about the Lewis magazine, it's quite far back on the receiver, and then obviously you've got a lot of the gubbins for like the barrel and everything in the front. But the trouble is with the way these guys hold their guns is they're very close to the chest, and it's actually very difficult to actually fit anything else there. So I'd maybe have to move it forward. It'd still look okay. I suppose the Lewis isn't completely far forward, is it? That's a good option, actually. Thank you for the suggestion. Question: some of your videos you mentioned the Kitbash build was commissioned for Aspire fans. Do you still have a system for taking requests? Do you still get them from reading comments and such? Yeah, so I've had a few requests for commissions, and the thing is, at the moment, unfortunately, I just don't have the time. At the point that I was taking them, I had a lot more spare time. At the moment, I don't. So I've put a lot more effort into the videos recently, which I think has actually paid off really nice. I've been getting some more views, which is nice. So I'm doing longer form videos where instead of just doing a single model, I'm doing a squad or even building an army. So unfortunately, I just don't have the same amount of time to do commissions as I did in the past. Never say never. Might do some more in the future, maybe the odd one. But at the moment, I'm not taking any more commissions. Alex, no, I appreciate the answer. Watching you kit bash these minis has gotten me into the hobby as well, and I think most of my enjoyment comes from the modification building process as well. Yeah, that's always been the main draw for me. Like I've said in my Sylvaneth Army Guide, I literally haven't had a fully playable army for a long time. So it's been nice to actually build something and get that built and fully formed. But I had to convert it because I knew if I didn't convert it, I wouldn't have that drive to keep on building it. So it's quite nice. Covent 414. What's your opinion on 3D printing? Do you think miniature manufacturers will be killed by this, or will they adapt? So I don't ever like making predictions for the future, because the thing is about predictions is they have a good chance of just sounding absurd in about 5 years' time. So at the moment, I think, having done 3D printing myself, and for me, it's actually a little bit of a hassle, because I kind of have to have it set up in my garage, and I don't really like having like the resin and everything set up elsewhere in my house. And then you've got to be worried about the temperature. Like, you've got to have it over about 21 degrees C, and if you have it, so it means it kind of, unless you have a heater in your garage, you can't really do much over the winter. So, and also resin's not much fun to work with. If you get it on your skin, it can actually do some really bad burns. So it's still not super easy. I think that at the moment they're okay. A lot of people will prefer to buy a kit, and this is also much easier to work with as well. And maybe in the future, if kit bashing, if 3D printing gets easier and the option to kit bash with it becomes easier as a result, then maybe I think we'll see a quite a large shift as well. Let's see if we've got any more questions. I've got to save the Lewis drum for the heavy bolter. That'll use the Mark III autocannon as an actual MG42. Yeah, you could do. That'd be interesting. Good option. Okay, let's actually get onto this these extra few pouches then before we get drawn. So, in addition to the British style Brody helmet, I've also grabbed myself a this is particularly the Bolt Action 8th Army Desert Rats kit. I think this is the Commonwealth one, because it, oh no, it's not the Commonwealth one, it's because it's got the regular helmets in there. So this actually comes with some really nice little pouches, like the little, you can see there, the little I think these are the Enfield's pouches if I'm not mistaken, the ammunition pouches. And we've got the backpacks as well, and actually these are perfectly scaled if you put them on a Space Marine and use them as little side pouches, and you can kind of pop these little ones dotted around different locations, and actually work really nice because they have that British Army theme to them, but then the scale works quite nicely as well. There's not all that many on this sprue. You can see there's only a few backpacks. There's not tons, but they're actually quite cheap, these models are. So I think some of the kits are better than others though. Some of them have a lot of pouches, some of them don't have many. So we're going to be attaching a couple of those, but we're also going to be attaching a few of the regular Space Marine ones as well. Patrick K, your alterations are art and they touch the human heart. Thank you very much. There's a very nice rhyming in there as well. I'm working on an Acropolis Hawks army. Any tips on keeping kit bashing utilitarian? Do you mean in the sense of creating a more utilitarian look, or keeping the actual process of the kit bash utilitarian? It's not going to be for the general gamer, and I think it's easier to even order from a third party than to print everything yourself. I think this is where it comes down to. I think while some people really enjoy 3D printing and don't mind having 3 or 4 3D printers running to build their army, some people are just going to want to buy a kit and build it, because for me, I enjoy the process of building a kit, and I get more out of buying a sprue and clipping the models away and assembling them than actually just printing like a single model or anything like that. I don't get the same kind of satisfaction from it. You get a different kind of satisfaction of creating something from nothing, I suppose. So yeah, I think what Eric says as well, there is a few places where you can use other 3D, like 3D printers in like a community sense, and I think that's quite good because it kind of cuts out all of the hassle of having to have it set up yourself. You can just, the only thing I would say that it's probably a little bit difficult there is getting, when you inevitably mess things up. That's the only thing that I think when I started I couldn't get the support to write and things just didn't print. I had a lot of failures, but yeah. Utilitarian look. Okay, so I would highly recommend checking out my Raptors videos if you haven't done so already, because there are lots of kind of ideas of removing superfluous iconography and trying to get everything back to thinking, is this actually useful or is this completely just decorative, and then adjusting it accordingly. So that's pretty much where I go for that one. But yeah, you just kind of need to get rid of everything that doesn't look like it would serve a purpose, and if it's just superfluous, then it needs to go. Just grab a couple of these. Let's grab another pouch as well. Okay, let's just clean these up. Working on my first kit bash, and isn't just a simple armor head swap. Thoroughly enjoying it so far. Granted, maybe I shouldn't have decided 10 Lich Guard would be the best for a first project. Yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes it's good to actually have a bit more of an ambitious project, because you really push yourself to do something then, and you learn a lot on the way. If you just stick to simple head swaps and arm swaps, that's fine. You can do a lot with those, but you don't really get the same kind of satisfaction when you've really done a lot of changes to a model. And it's nice when you've done a lot of changes to a model and the model looks, when it's done, it looks like it should have been built from a kit. I think that's always the best feeling when you do a kit bash, that you don't want it to look kit bashed. Okay, these are very nearly ready to go on the model. So I've always wanted to use some of the bolt action kits, but the scale's a little bit different. So even if you're using it for Imperial Guard stuff, the scale isn't quite there sometimes. I mean, if I get like a normal human scale, Scutari, they're not far off, but they are like a little bit smaller. You can see there. So they're also a little bit thinner, but I think some Wargames Atlantic stuff is maybe a little bit more better suited. So let's stick these pouches on here. What I like about these pouches is they're a little bit more old school style as well. The Space Marine ones are a little bit more modern, but these have got this nice like kind of canvas style. Fits in this aspect that I'm going for here nicely. Look at that. That curve just fits really nicely over that little kind of waist joint there. Look at that. It's perfect. Let's just see if we can angle that in a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Nice. So these, where can we place these? I was thinking about adding them. Oops. Let's get some tweezers. Yeah, bolt action humans are just a little smaller, more true scale proportion than 40k stuff. Yeah, so they are a little bit heroic scale. They're not perfectly true scale. I think probably a better appearance of true scale would be like Perry or some of the Wargames Atlantic stuff. So I mean, this is a Wargames Atlantic human, so there is a little bit of difference in scale there. This is a Perry miniatures helmet there. Jesus. Funny you say they're thinner, as my main issue with a lot of guard kits is that they look too thick. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I actually really liked about the new Krieg kit was how everything looked a little bit more, just better proportioned. It just looked a little bit nicer. Is Dust closer in scale? I haven't used any of the Dust models for quite a while. I think they are more like, they like 32mm. So kind of like maybe, I find 40k stuff's kind of somewhere in between. See, that would have been perfect down there, but I feel like it's going to get lost. That's the only thing. I haven't really got anywhere else to put it though. That's it. I do quite like putting them on the shoulders, but again, where should we pop it? What do you think, guys? Shoulder pad, chest, or elsewhere? They're a bit too small to go down on the legs, but we can maybe move it somewhere else. Side of the gun for easy access. Let's see. Let's have a look. We can try it. So the only thing is, I think there's probably a little bit too much going on the gun. That's the only reservation that I'd have with that. Thanks, Ben. Shoulder pad, chest, shoulder. We've got 2 for shoulder, 1 for chest. Let's see. Let's give everyone a second to catch up. So this is the thing, I've just switched over to Twitch and just noticed that Covent 414 redeemed Hydrate. I shall have a drink. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. This is that I'm using like the Restream bot, and it's not actually had any. It's supposed to like notify me, but not someone. Wooly846 cheered 2 bits 47 minutes ago. It didn't tell me. Thank you, Wooly846. I do appreciate that. What else have we got? We had another Hydrate. I do apologise, Twitch viewers. I feel like I've been neglecting you. I'll work on a better way of making sure that the chat is a little bit better. Okay, I think I'm gonna go for the shoulder pad, and the only reason I'm going to go for the shoulder pad is because I would have gone for the chest if there wasn't a gun in the way. So I would probably, yeah, okay, let's put it on the shoulder. I do like the shoulder pads pouches. Handy storage bits. Let's go for 2. Why not? Stick one on, you might as well go for 2. These are actually really nice pouches. I'd love to have like a whole pack of those. They're really nicely detailed. I think some of the Space Marine ones, because they're just a bit bland. Let's compare them to these. Look at these pouches there, and then compare them to those. They're about the same size, but look how much more nicely detailed the Warlord Games ones are. Come on, Games Workshop. Speaking of, I am just going to stick some of those pouches, even though I've just insulted them. Just because I need more pouches. It needs dead animal bits. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Most of the tutorials I've been doing recently haven't featured dead animal bits because I've not been able to find an easy way of segueing them into a conversion. When I was doing a lot of the successor chapters for like different things, like the Dark Krakens and things like that, it was really easy, and I'm forgetting one of them. The blue guys, the really nice turquoisey blue guys. Was something dragons? Dragon spears. That was it. Yeah, dragon spears. They were nice because they had like the skulls on the spikes above the head. That was pretty cool. Question, what plastic glue are you using? The brush seems to have a pointed tip. I haven't been able to find something like that. There is actually a couple of options. So the one I'm using is Plastic Magic. And there is also Tamiya Extra Thin, which is very similar to this. I think it comes with a brush applicator. Much easier to use than the regular kind of squeezy nozzle glue. Could they be the difference between full and empty pouches? I don't even think it's that. I think it's like, I feel like the Space Marine pouches look more plastic, whereas the ones from Warlord actually look like they're made of fabric, like they're a little bit deformed by what's been put in them, as opposed to it being like an actual material that isn't perfectly square and perfectly, yeah. We need more dead animal bits, like we need more cowbell. Cowbell? Can't speak this evening. Right, okay, let's just get this these few pouches on, and we can finish off. So we've got around about 10 minutes or so left in the stream. So if you want to get your questions in now, this is the last orders question bell is being rung. Let's stick that pouch on there, and we'll stick them on a base as well whilst we've got one handy. There we go. We definitely had a more productive stream this week than we did last week. I actually don't even know where the guy was. I think I chucked him away in shame. He's just so terrible. Where is he going? It was awful. Most of my stream kind of model, I actually end up keeping quite close to by because I like keeping them there as inspiration, but my God. There we go. We didn't actually come up with a name for this, did we? I think I said, and I think I said that we were going to I think we had a few suggestions, but I can't remember what they were now. Okay, there we go. He's done. Let's get the blue tack so we can actually see him on camera. We can have a nice little finishing frame. Let's bring this camera in a little bit as well. Hopefully I don't unplug it by accident. Oh Jesus! There we go. This expert camera work. Can we see him? There we go. Ta-da! Okay. Right. Questions. Alchemist Tyrant question: have you ever thought of kitbashing a custom Aldar craft world? Yes. Is the answer to that. I would, well, sort of. I would like to do some Aldar Exodite, so yeah, maybe at some point in the future. Question: are you making TikTok from Return to Oz? No, that is such a weird film, though. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's just weird. Will you ever make a homebrew Krieg Space Marine? Possibly. I suppose this is quite close to one, but maybe a little bit more Krieg-like. You have any conversion plans for the Xeno factions? Not at the moment. It really depends what. I mean, we've been teased that we're getting a few another Xenos codex, and I don't know who that's going to be. Maybe it's going to be Tyranids. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. Maybe I'll do something to fit alongside that. Any good kit recommendations for God conversions? I have neophytes, obviously, and even found some good bits in the Orlok weapon upgrade spree, but I want to know if there are others. So, Imperial Guardsman. If you don't mind using non-Games Workshop kits, then one of the good options you can choose is Fireforge Games have some infantry. And I really can't remember what it's called now. I actually have one handy. They have these really nice kind of. This is a little feudal guard that I did a while ago. What's it called now? There's a range. There's like a fantasy range that they've done, and the models actually work really nice. You can see these are Cadian arms on one of their torsos, and they're really nicely scaled and everything. So, yeah. Fireforge Games. Question: please make a community post and request pictures from people you inspired. I like to show off my first custom guys. If enough people respond, maybe a compilation video. That's a good idea, actually. I do always like seeing people's work when they post it in Facebook and things like that. And they said, "Oh, recommend." I was inspired by Pete the Wargamer or based on such and such thing. So yeah, maybe. Oh, there we go. The Fireforge game. Someone else has suggested that. Yeah. I want to see some great conversions for Solar Auxilia. Yes, I did kind of mess around with doing something for those previously, but maybe we can do those again in the future. Raphael Roger, your work is just amazing, really. Thank you very much. It's a beefy boy from Dirty Birds F. Siffy Guy question: What have you ever considered making a trench punk? Oh, have you ever considered making a trench punk Sister of Battle? I haven't. It's an interesting idea, though. I'll keep it in mind. Have any plans for kitbashing beast staggers? Maybe. If their stuff is useful for doing some like Orc clan conversions in the future, that might be an option. Kitbashing a custom chapter librarian out of the Mephiston model. Do you have any tips? Really depends on what you're doing. It's suppose depending on what kind of direction you're looking to take the theme in, then yes. I actually have that model, but I haven't actually opened it, so I'm not sure what the model builds like, so I can't give you any suggestions based on just the kit. I'm giving a homebrew chapter a thin layer of copper on top of their armor, and since copper slowly turns green over the years, the veterans would have blue armor. Is this a good idea? I think so. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. The only thing you got to be careful of is that when you have copper, it does, you get the verdigris kind of effect but it can get worn off quite easy to expose the copper underneath, like the actual bronze. I mean, if you've seen my Sylvaneth videos, you might notice that I've kind of got that mixture of verdigris and copper. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd be careful of there. And if you do have that kind of faded effect, it can end up making them look a little bit like statues. But I suppose if you maybe just did one shoulder pad, that might be an option. Maybe just one part of them. Michael looks good. Imagine painting the face would be iffy. It's actually not too bad because it's just armor. So yeah, nice and easy there. Steel Legion made from Deathcore Creed kit. I have considered it. Mainly the reason I'm probably not going to do it is because of the difference in great coats versus the kind of the shorter coats that the Steel Legion have. So that's the only thing I'm kind of keeping me against there. Lost my place. Question: do you have an idea of when you will make more chaos safe marine conversions? I'm guessing you mean space marine conversions. Nothing planned at the moment, but maybe in the future. Maybe if we get like another codex and some interesting stuff in there to kitbash. Michael Strange, love your work, sir. Thank you very much. I really need to see some actual good and actual legit grimdark conversions for noise marines. There is a lot of options there. I think anything chaos, you can really go heavy on the grimdark stuff. Lots of kind of mutated body horror stuff for them guys. Nathan Norman, question: what color are you going to paint these guys? Probably a really nice dark olive drab color. That's probably what I was going for. Same color as the British painted their helmets, most likely. What bit was used for the chain bayonet? That is a Mark III Space Marine chainsword, which has been cut down to length. Where are we here? Have you ever think of doing a 40k bit kit bash of an Age of Sigmar faction, Lizardmen or Skaven? Yeah, there are some options out there if you want to make some, probably like Tower Auxiliaries for like out of Lizardmen. That'd be pretty cool to do. Dave Stacey, glad I've caught the stream. Always watch your videos. You're definitely an inspiration of mine. I love the kit bash. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always make these videos to inspire other people to make their own kit bashes. I think a lot of people don't like doing kit bashes because you end up chopping up models, but it's always good fun. You got to be brave sometimes. Chef, Siegebreakers as a name? Possible. Yeah, good option. Terrible Tank, Town Marine Kill Team. Yes, again, it's another option because it would be good opportunity to make a full squad of these guys, these like Guron Vesa kind of Tower Auxiliaries, maybe. Your thoughts on converting Wanderers into Kanothi? Could work quite nicely. We haven't really seen an awful lot about that faction yet. It's weird because some of them seem to be like have like centaur legs and fawn legs, and then some of them don't. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Maybe I'm hoping that in the next Sylvaneth army book we get some more expansion on the Kanothi. But yeah, not 100% sure about that one, but it could work. Horns, that's what you need. Get the horns from the Wild Riders and stick them with all your models. That's what you need to do. Do you have a display stand showing off your miniatures at home? Would you ever consider giving us a tour of your display collection? I don't actually have much of a display stand. I have just kind of one of those IKEA glass cabinets with my stuff in there. A lot of it's in storage, unfortunately. I just realised this guy's not in frame. There we go. If I was painted, it would look like bloody Play-Doh. you just gotta what's the name? Keep practicing. That's what you gotta do. Possible regret for an idea that will bankrupt me. Question: Gene Stealer Cult Cowboys. Great Escape Games recently released a plastic cowboy kit, and it's taunting me. I think I saw that actually. Yeah, Gene Stealer Cult Cowboys worked because they had the Calamorph already had that kind of Western theme. I like the idea of having gunslingers, but this kind of maybe like frontier settlement that have been taken over by Gene Stealer cults. Really like that idea. It's something I've considered before actually. So yeah, go for it. I like a few spikes on Space Marine armor, nothing extreme like on Chaos Marine. Yeah, I think it kind of work actually. If you don't go too over the top, you can get away with spikes on regular Space Marines. Your thoughts on converting Sigvald into some Blood Angels character? Yeah, possibly. It could work nicely for maybe like a sanguinus. No, sanguinus? I can't remember. Sanguinary. The guy. The main guy. Yeah. Not the Primarch, the other one. I can't remember what the name is. I'm looking for more fur pellets for my homebrew. Where's the best place to find them? Best place to find them is in green stuff and to sculpt them yourself. If you don't want to sculpt though, I mean, fur tends to be the easiest thing to sculpt. It's always a good place to start off and maybe give it a go. If you're not happy with that, then some good options are Space Wolves are always going to have lots in there. Some of the Chaos Warrior kits are pretty good options as well. Maybe try that. I think this guy needs some more stuff on his legs to more display his gladiatory theme. Yeah, I think I would like to have more pouches. I think that would have been what I'd want to go for there, like really kind of heavily weighed down with equipment. That's what I wanted. Can the Twitch folks see what the YouTube people are writing? I believe so. I've got the Restream bot who's supposed to be doing back and forth, posting them back and forth so everyone can see each other. Not Sanguinus. No, it is. I can't remember the name of the guy. Is it Sanguinor? That's it. There we go. They found it. The Hive Mind answered. Can I see the back? Just got here. Yeah, there is a slight adjustment on the back there. Not much of one. Just a little bit of a adjustment to the backpack. Any good green stuff sculpting 101 guides that you recommend? Valbjorn, Valbjorn, has a few videos on YouTube for sculpting with green stuff. Some nice like fur stuff. Some very nice like focus videos on those if you want to figure that out. It's a good option. Sundering Fists, that's quite a nice name. Kind of like a Imperial Fist successor as well. I think that's probably where I'd go with these. That'd make the most sense. Would you ever consider selling some of your minis in storage? I'd love to have the original to inspire me as I work on my own minis. I haven't really considered selling a lot of the stuff, mainly because I can imagine regretting doing so in the future. But maybe in the future I might have, I might maybe auction some off for charity. I don't know if I'd sell them directly. Question: any Warhammer Primarchs you would paint from the Forge World? I'm guessing. No, not really, because I get most of my enjoyment from kitbashing models than painting. I do enjoy painting them, but if I can't kitbash them, maybe I would kitbash a Primarch and we could go from there, maybe like a Chaos one. But yeah. So yeah, I think we're kind of gonna end it there then, guys. So thank you very much for joining me. I apologize to anyone who was late to the stream. I think Jack Shaw just recently joined, so I do apologize, Jack. We were making this kind of World War I British trench themed Space Marine chapter here. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone to join me. Everyone for joining me? My God, I'm getting tired now. Thank you very much to everyone who joined me today. As always, I really appreciate you guys leaving me your feedback for things, helping out with these streams. It's good just having a chat with you guys sometimes as well, rather than just speaking through the comment section. As always, thank you to everyone who subscribes, leaves comments, likes my videos. It's all like super helpful, and especially big thank you to everyone who supports my Patreon, who does the super chats. Thank you very much. Affiliates links, buy me a coffee, everyone who uses all that stuff and helps to support me in making these. It massively helps, because I was able to upgrade some of my computer stuff recently, and that's made this a lot easier to do. It's made the editing much easier, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. Being all serious now. And yeah, until the next stream, hopefully we have one very, very soon. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So thanks for everyone, and I'll see you next time.